Én nagyon szeretem a mézet, és hogyha valaki szeretné megtudni, hogy hogyan készül a méz, akkor ezekkel a szorgos dolgozókkal, a méhekkel kell megismerkednie. De mi most nem ezért jöttünk Lengyelországba, hanem emiatt. Ugyanis ez itt a Fuchs lengyelországi telepe, és azért jöttünk ide, hogy kiderítsük, hogy mi fánterem a modern kenőanyaggyártás, és hogyan tudjuk azt mi a régi autóinkban használni. Izgalmas lesz, gyertek!
Fuchs kenőanyagok. Mozgásban tartjuk az életed. Vidd a kocsid a Craftba, mondd be a Bolla 2025 kuponkódot, és kedvezményes díjért adják el az autót.
So Fuchs Poland started working here since beginning of 90s. I think it was 91. The building itself is very old. It was used as a water company before, as far as I remember. So it's not like brand new plant. And it was rebuilt year by year.
Nem tudom, ti hogy vagytok vele, én speciál nem vagyok tisztában, hogy pontosan hogy is történik egy kenőanyagnak, akár olaj, akár zsírnak a gyártása. Úgyhogy most Bart, aki a gyártásmenedzsere, körbe fog minket vezetni ezen a területen. If I understood you correctly, this is the beginning of the production, this is the entrance?
Yes, that's right. Here are the components that we store outside, and the Fuchs components that are components that we produce by ourselves.
Okay.
That's for the small additives.
Okay.
Because for our recipe, around 70% of the recipe is the base oil.
Okay.
And then we have additives like very high quality. But for the base oils, for the big quantity, it's obvious that we cannot store them into the drums.
Okay.
Because we use hundreds of tons. So those base oils are stored in the big tanks that you can see.
Oh, so those outside tanks are storing the base oil.
Yeah.
This is where the raw material, the base oil arrive.
Yeah, that's true. So we source the base oil locally.
Okay.
I mean, locally for the Europe.
Okay.
And locally for the Asia, locally for the Americas. So the biggest base oils we actually source in Poland.
Okay.
Yeah, and the part of them we source in France and Netherlands.
It arrives by train and then you are pumping it into one of these tanks?
Yeah, actually into one of these tanks.
Ah, okay, so this is the... Okay.
Each of them 200 metric tons.
200 metric tons, okay. And do these need to be heated, or are the base oils good on
actually for these specific base oils, they don't need to be heated, yeah? But we need to remember about that some of them needs to be heated because of the viscosity, yeah? They can be so dense as like a honey.
Yeah, right, understand.
Yeah, and if you just heat them up, they are more liquid, yeah, and easier to pump. The coverage of base oils is around 3 weeks of production.
Okay.
And for the additives, it's around 45 days of production.
But there are so many sources around Europe that you can have base oils from. You can change supplier, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. We have alternative suppliers for almost each raw material.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's also a lesson learned from the COVID period.
A gyár területén 4 labor is van, és mi most a minőség ellenőrző laborban vagyunk, ahol kifejezetten a folyékony kenőanyagok minőségét ellenőrzik, mert van egy külön labor a zsírok számára is.
We are doing the 3-stage quality controls. The first stage is for the raw materials, which we are using for our production. The second stage is in-process control. And the third stage is the final product after the filling lines. We have our internal central registration system for all raw materials. We need to check the quality of every single raw material from different production sites, from different producers and different suppliers. So we know exactly the quality of the raw material. So it's much easier after that to adjust the quality all around the globe.
The engine oils that we use have all sorts of additives in them to make them work better in modern engines and maybe make them work better in old engines as well. Do these additives all come from you, or does the raw material also have something in it already that you agreed with the supplier that they can add it to it?
In terms of base oils, we are receiving only the raw base oil.
Okay.
So this is our matrix, we can say. And after that, we have different formulations for different car makers to meet all the requirements. So we are adding different additives for different formulations to meet all the requirements from our clients.
And when we are talking about base oils, that's base mineral oil, or when there's some of the engine oils are full synthetic.
Yes.
Does that mean that the base oil is a synthetic base?
We are using different base oils depending on the demands.
Yeah, of course.
So we are using base oils which are natural, mineral. We are using also synthetic. We are using also some sustainable sources.
Okay.
So yeah, we can adjust. One of the most basic parameters is the density. Density of the oil, which is important not really for the use of the product, but it's really important for our internal operations, because when we are filling the packagings, we are using the density to put the exact volume which we need in different packaging using the densities. So we are using the weight.
Ha ezt a dobozt itt megnézem, ennek a feliratát, abból az derül ki, hogy RHDP az anyaga ennek a palacknak, és hogy nem a Fuchs magának gyártja természetesen, hanem valakitől, ezt beszállítótól szerzik be, és az ide elkerült megfelelő minőségű palackokat aztán egy robotsor tölti meg, zárja le, címkézi föl és csomagolja be szállításra. Hogy azt aztán utána kiszállíthassák a boltokba, vagy hát gondolom először elosztó raktárakba.
The next step is the viscosity measurement.
Okay.
We are lucky to have the automatic devices. We are doing the measurements into temperatures in 40 degrees C and 100 degrees C. With those two measurements, we are able to calculate the viscosity index, which is also important for the engine oils.
And do you also check the viscosity of the end product here?
Yes. After the filling, we are receiving the sample from the filling lines, and we are checking the viscosities, the IRs, the densities also. Sometimes even elements. Just to be sure that it's not contaminated by any other oil. Even with the similar viscosity, the viscosity is correct, but the elemental content could be different. So it's also important that it's not contaminated on the filling lines. We are working with really wide ranges, because we are starting with, let's say, 5 up to 1,000. With all our product lines, not only with the engine oils, of course. Because we are producing some specialties, we are producing industrial oils, and many others. So the viscosity ranges are quite big. Those are IRs, so the infrareds.
The infrareds. Okay.
So we can check the spectrum for every single product, and we are also checking it for raw materials and for greases. We've got one device for fluids, and the second one for solids and greases.
I guess you must archive all the results to basically to call upon if there's any recall or any problem from one of the users, be it a person or a company. How long do you look back? So how long do you have the archive?
In terms of our digital versions of all the results, we have it from the beginning of every single device and measurement. Right now, everything is digitalized, and we have it in our clouds. So in terms of results itself, we have it since we started the measurements. In terms of retained samples, we keep all the retained samples for 1 year for normal products. For our OEM clients, we are keeping those for 5 years.
I was really looking forward to ask someone about engine oils and the question of what should we think when we have an older car and there are newer engine oils. How should we choose something? What should we look out for?
If the engine has a filter, that shouldn't be that dangerous to choose the wrong engine oil, because the latest newest technology in the engine oil are just better, and most cases are backward compatible.
Let's say the engine manual says that you should use mineral oil for a single grade in the summer and another mineral oil for a single grade in the winter. Can you use a multi-grade synthetic oil in such an engine?
Of course you can, because the multi-season engine oil was not available on the market.
Yes.
And for every season you have to change the oil for the proper one.
Right.
because of the pull point depressants included in the oil for the winter season, yeah, and something like that. And today's, if the engine is rebuilt or restored in the proper way, in the modern way,
okay,
you can just use the multi-season engine oil.
Okay.
But you just need to choose the engine oil with the proper viscosity grade.
For the last 20, 25, 30 years, car manufacturers kept elongating intervals, like from like 10,000 kilometers to 20, to 25, to 30. Nowadays, in a new car, you can have an interval as long as 2 years or 30,000 kilometers, which sounds crazy to me because I'm used to 1 year or 10,000.
But that long intervals are only available for the latest engine oil technology.
Latest engine and latest engine oil
technology
together.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So when you are talking about an older engine, even if it's the latest engine oil, you should stick to the interval for that engine.
Yes. We always recommend to keep the maximum intervals which are recommended by not engine oil manufacturer,
okay,
but which comes from engine manufacturer.
Right.
We have two automatic titrators. One is for the total acid number and the second one is for the total base number. Total base number is important. Is an important thing for the engine oils,
okay,
because it tells us how many acids could be neutralized by the oil. The acids are a really bad thing in the engine oils,
okay,
and the acids are the products of the oxidation of the oil. So if you have a big temperature and we have a lot of oxygen, the process of oxidation is really quick.
okay.
So it's crucial for engine oils to have the TBN, so the total base number, on the high levels to neutralize all the acids which are being created during the working periods.
If I understand you correctly, this is something that influences how long an oil change, how many cycles between an oil change can happen.
Yes.
Does this mean that this base number that you are talking about is really high in today's modern oils?
Yes, it's probably much higher than it used to be.
Okay.
But it's only one part.
Okay, so it's only one part of the equation.
Yes, because of the, in terms of, let's say, new technologies and new base oil formulations, we have really a lot of different types of additives which you have to add to meet all the requirements. You have the detergents, dispersants, anti-wears, extreme pressure, corrosion inhibitors, anti-foams, antioxidants, pull point depressants, and many other friction modifiers, viscosity index improvers. So a lot of different additives to meet all the requirements.
Okay.
So the total base number is only one parameter which we need to
But the thing is, this all adds up to the oil is really withstanding longer usage, you say?
Yes, yes.
So here you can see the grease factory.
So this is the grease?
Yeah,
okay,
the area where we produce all the greases. And that's the specific area that we produce and fill them in one place. So from the very top, we produce the soap,
okay,
then put it down to the finishing and add additives,
okay,
and then on the ground floor we do the filling into the drums.
I see. Okay, okay. And this side is then for oils?
For oils, exactly.
Wow.
That's the buffer tank.
Buffer tank?
Buffer tank, okay? Because we produce like 15 tons of the oil in the mixer. And then we need to fill it into the packages. So before the filling, we put them into the buffer tank,
okay,
to release the mixer for the next production.
Okay.
So we don't need to wait for the
and
filling.
you also label what's in the buffer tank.
Exactly, exactly.
So that's ATF, automatic transmission fluid.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of ATF.
Yeah, exactly. That's for our specific customer.
Okay.
That the customer is collecting that in bulk, so in the truck, not in the drums, in the truck. So it's prepared for him, for the customer, to be always on stock. The customer demand is urgent, so he only pipe it. So here we will talk about the production process itself.
Okay, you are being measured.
Yeah, that's right.
We are being measured together.
We are being measured.
Okay, now it's a real measurement. Us with a camera. That's good.
Yeah, nice.
That's good.
Yeah, not so bad. I think I need to eat more. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I think I need to eat a little bit less, but I'm good actually. So that's good.
It's very interesting because it's the automated system. Because of the quality. So we have the system. All the recipe of the product is written here. All these steps that the operator needs to take.
Okay.
Imagine you have four different components. Yeah. The first one, the base oil, is going by the pipe, automatic from the system.
So this chart will tell the operator that he already has like how many tons of base oil in there, and there needs to be this and this and this and this additives added to it.
Yes. The next one could be the container. So it is sucked in from the container, and the oil mixer is standing on the scale.
Wow.
So
this whole tank is measured all the time.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's measuring the quantity of additive that you are sucked in.
Okay.
And when it's enough, exactly with the recipe, it's cut off the system, so you don't overdose.
So basically, it's an automated system. The people who are operating it need to put the correct tank here.
Yeah.
But the measurement is automated.
Yes. Yeah. So you need to scan the barcode and the batch number. So even the batch number is tracked. So if something is wrong with the quality, you know what batch of raw material it was.
So this is what they call an HMI, a human machine interface.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and it's actually a beautiful system.
It is.
Help us a lot with
lovely.
Yeah, with the quality. We can actually be 100%.
Because basically this quality control during production, not before, not after, during production.
That's right.
So this is a base oil exchange. Yeah. So you have pipes coming in from the reserve tanks and pipes going out to the mixing tanks.
Yes.
And you have to connect them like in olden days the phone connectors did.
Yeah, so that's the part we are thinking about the automation, because the worker needs to do it himself manually.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course that's I think only one place when we can make an error, like a human error, to connect the
wrong pipe.
So that's the one last point that we need to be careful about. Yeah.
Ezen a táblán azt látjuk, hogy 24 tonna motorolaj van itt a mixerben mögöttünk. Itt van mellette a recept, és mindegyik benne van már, illetve majdnem mindegyik benne van már, és itt jelzi, hogy megy is a keverőkanál, és keveri 51 fokon a motorolajt, ami egyébként egy 5V30-as, meglehetősen népszerű motorolaj, az készül itt. This one's full.
We put big efforts to meet the specification when we show on the labels.
Okay.
That is the main point. And we really put only that specification which we are 100% sure that our products are fully met. I don't want to speak badly about our competitors.
Understood, and there's no need to.
From my experience is in some cases the engines are not fully met according to the specification which are put on the labels. Because you have to know the specification under the same name. For example, BMW Long Life 04.
Okay.
This is specification which was published in 2004.
Okay.
And during the time, over 20 years,
yes,
that specification changed, I don't know, maybe 8 times. And engine oil manufacturers are not putting the year of the version of the specification. So some of manufacturers still using the old one,
okay,
which are not proper for the today's engine, which requirement this specification.
Understand.
Of course, the latest one are backward compatible.
Yes.
But the old one is not forward compatible. But mostly when you choose the product from the big company, there shouldn't be any problem, because the big companies, international companies, have enough sources and money to investigate specification or replaced formulation from the product to the newest one.
Okay.
We're doing the same. That's our quality. We always provide our customer the latest technology version of the engines. If it's of course possible. If not, we just remove the product from the market.
So this is the elemental analysis.
Elemental analysis.
XRF. It's a really fancy device.
Okay.
Quite expensive, but it's also crucial for engine oils.
Okay.
Because when we can check all the elements which are in the additives, we know if the amount of additive is correct in the oil. So
wow.
the performance should be fine if we have the exact good levels of phosphor, of zinc, of sulfur, and so on and so on. So we are checking the elements, and if the elements are in the limits, we know that the amount of additives which we are adding to the production is correct.
Okay, and I see a sign that this has an X-ray part as well.
It's the X-ray analysis.
X-ray analysis.
Yes.
Look here, Cornel.
We've got two different devices, but this one is really good. We
looks
can check.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks nice and it works nice, and we can check even 1 part per million.
Okay.
So it's quite precise. We are checking not only the engine oils, we are checking also the industrial oils, the gear oils also, because in gear oils you know that the EP and anti-wear additives are quite important, so we are checking all those.
Well, finally we arrived at this desk.
Yes, this is the device which we are using to assess the cleanliness class.
Okay.
It's especially important for hydraulic oils, when you have really precise valves,
yes.
Small diameters of the installations, and the big central stations when you are pumping all the hydraulics, and it's really important to have really clean oil, and the standards are really high.
The interesting part of that is that hydraulic oils are usually used in really dirty places.
Yes.
And the oils themselves have to be really clean, I understand.
Yes, it's really hard, especially in coal mines in Poland.
Yeah, right.
We even have to deliver in a special low class of purity, really pure hydraulic oils to the coal mines. And they are replacing it at the underground, so it's really tricky.
Interesting.
We have 7 filling lines here.
Okay.
The first one at the very beginning is for the 1000 liter for the containers.
Okay.
The next 3 is for the 20 or 60 liters.
Okay, 20 or 60 liters?
Yeah, and then the last 3 is for the drums.
For the drums.
Each 20 liter package is like 18 kilos.
Okay.
Yeah, so imagine doing 300 or 400 pieces during the shift, yeah? Of course your back hurts.
Yeah,
right.
And
then the next day you are very tired, yeah? So that's why we bought the, how to call it, like robotic arm.
Okay.
That he's taking 5 at the time. Yeah, you can see that very soon. Yeah. It's faster, more efficient.
It is.
The most important for his safety, for his health and comfort. Yeah, actually the biggest part of the volume that we sold is in drums. On average we produce around 400 drums. Average daily.
Average daily 400 drums of
different oils.
Different types of lubricant oils.
Yeah.
There are 4 laboratories, so quality control for fluids here, and there's a quality control for greases. But as I understand, there's also a customer laboratory where you measure samples sent in.
Yes, the customer service lab is for our clients.
Okay.
So when you are buying Fuchs oil, you
Okay.
can send over your working, your used oil, and we can check if it's still okay to use it, or you need to change it, or maybe something is happening to your machine. We can check the wear elements, we can check the viscosities, all the other parameters, the water contents, the cleanliness classes, the contamination. We can check, we can assess the contamination with the lab, with the microscope analysis.
Okay.
So, yes, it's a really good thing when you are buying Fuchs oil.
Just put us in the picture, how does that work? So if any average guy just walk in the oil shop, buys a can of Fuchs oil, fills in the car, and maybe 8,000 kilometers after that just takes a sample and sends it to you, does it work like that? Or do you work with intermediaries, or do you only work with your business partners?
When we have any kind of customer and he is sending out our oil,
Okay.
he need to do this via the sales.
Okay.
But still, yes, we can check it. If as long as it's our oil, yes, we are checking it. The first thing which we are checking if the used oil is in the limits which is specified for our used oils. We have different
Okay.
specifications for our production oils and different for our used oils. So we are checking the limits, and if it's okay, we know that it's not the oil part, that it's something somewhere else. We are checking the water content. We can check if you have any kind of coolant in your oil. We can check the wear elements. We can also find soot. We can check the oxidation. But when we check the wear elements, we can tell you that it's titanium, it's lead, or something like that. So you know where to look.
Okay, so what was wearing into the oil? Interesting.
Exactly.
This is all product that waits delivery, basically.
Yes. Yes, all the finished goods from the production going that way. Then the warehouse worker collect and put it in the warehouse. This space is the, I would say, the fast moving space.
Okay.
There is no need to put them into the racks because
Okay.
it will go out in a minute or two.
Okay, so the truck is already almost waiting for it.
Yeah. So today we have in the warehouse 3,300 tons of finished products. Daily shipments, it's
Okay.
like 200 tons on average.
Okay.
But in some days, like today, we plan to ship almost 300 tons.
Huh. So I was curious what drives your production, what drives your development, and what do you see on the market in the European car production today as an oil producer, as a lubricant producer in a wider sense?
Now we got information, of course, from our cooperator, car manufacturer, that they want to change almost all cars which they produce to electric cars. But now they change it, their way of thinking, because they know that it is impossible. We try to follow the way of thinking our
industrial partners, yes?
Yes, industrial partners, and we still will produce engine oils, but of course we try to follow the newest way, newest products for electric cars, for hybrids, and we have some of products which are developed in China, for example, in Germany also, which can be used only for electric cars. We don't have engine oils for this car. We produce transmission oil for these cars, and of course we have products for cooling the battery. We don't name this product as coolant. We name the thermal fluid.
Thermal fluid, understood.
Yeah, because they must control temperature for batteries. Yeah.
Yeah, keep it warm in the winter, cool it in the summer.
Yes.
Do you need to install new production lines, or are your current production lines capable of producing these new types of fluids?
If we talk about transmission oil, we can use the same production line in Germany, of course. But if we talk about coolants, it is totally different case, because traditional coolant for traditional car, it is glycol and water. But for newest car, for these thermal fluids, they not use glycol and water. They use base oil, very low viscosity base oil. So this is total different production lines because of the quality and parameters which these products must meet.
Looking into the future, if someone wants to keep a car going and going and going, they will need fresh lubricants. But if there are less and less cars, there probably will be less and less lubricants available.
I think that we have a lot of years in the future when we can produce traditional oils.
Elnézést, ez egy kicsit hosszabbra sikeredett a szokottnál, egyszerűen nem bírtam abba adni a kérdezést, legyen szó gyártásról, fejlesztésről, labormunkáról, vagy akár magukról a termékekről, rengeteg téma van, amit itt érinthetünk, és igen, néhány kimaradt gondolatot majd még a tagoknak fel fogok tölteni, úgyhogy ha további kérdések érdekelnek ebben a dologban, akkor várunk a belső körben, iratkozz fel a tagok közé. Egyébként pedig, ha tetszett az adás, nyomd rá egy lájkot, hype-oljad, oszd meg a barátaiddal, tedd be a kedvenc autós csoportjaidba, illetve ne feledkezz el feliratkozni és csengőt nyomni, hogy ne maradj le a következő videóról sem. Találkozunk legközelebb, addig is, sziasztok!